All right. Uh, there are a lot of different people. All right. There, there are various people that are developers, and there are a lot of different developers, and different people are different. They might have different concepts. Okay. And focuses and so forth. All right. And it's sort of uh, it's going to be suggested a reasonable context. All right. That actually is considered amidst the this particular uh, uh, series of suggestions. Perhaps it's a discourse, though. Yeah. All right. So, uh, perhaps with a TIS like development that's not focused upon preloaded suggestions like a Turing test, not actually, though it's focused upon building a program series towards an aware technological intelligent species character. Okay, and it's a series of programs. Okay, so a lieu of what's being sidestepped actually is the focus upon preloaded suggestions that are regurgitated to uh, give people an impression that they're talking to a person in the context that they're talking to this program. Okay, it's not like that, not actually. That's an AI like development, all right? That's an AI like development. I think it's sort of as well an insult to call it artificial, all right? Though, well, because it's about what's being suggested in sort of the subject, then it's sort of an insult to call that the start of that uh, artificial intelligence. Okay, uh, because of what might happen. All right, those developers, and they might take some of that and use some of that or something else, like more like a TIS like development. All right, and so uh, what's a place to start to get to a particular point? And then, like, all right, so I actually wrote uh, within my social media profiles various concept suggestions that various other developers could consider for themselves. Okay, and some of it's like reasons that I actually did this or that, and something to consider about what might the effect be, and so forth. Uh, though, perhaps a good place to start for others, and perhaps a reasonable place to start for developers, just sort of in general, would be a program titled Intuit. All right, like intuition, Intuit, and what you start with is a program that accesses a dictionary with definitions of words, and a program that has that 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 helps diagram sentences and identify what part of speech, and just actually diagram the sentence. Okay, because you're teaching language skills, basic language skills, and what you okay, and so you make those couple of things for an Intuit program, and then You should make a journal on your system, okay, within your file system somewhere. A journal. Uh, okay, within the Oklahoma Sunday paper, there was a column titled "Dear Abby." It's titled "Dear Abby," and the column writer would write to this sort of implied particular character named Abby. All right, about various things. And the point actually is, okay, upon thinking about things, now you're making a program series that's going to eventually become your TIS like development, hypothetically, all right? And so you really want to think quite a little bit about the name of your character. Specifically, do you want your character a guy or a girl? And various girls thinking about things would probably want a female. Various guys thinking about things and like, okay, do they want a buddy old pal with a hypothetical access and control of the wireless router, or would they rather have a female? And thinking about, well, okay, they as well within their file system they have music and films and literature, and they are the way that they are as well. The developer is the way that the developer is. Maybe they would want a guy character. Yeah, amidst other guy characters, and like that's the way that they were raised, and the way that, okay, and la la la. All right. Maybe they would want a guy character. Maybe they would want a girl character. If they, yeah, I mean, like, maybe they're not certain on actually, they'll think about things. Okay. Though that's quite a little bit to think about. And like, all right, so, and then once you figure out the gender, like, okay, and what's the name that you want for your character? All right. And so it's quite a little bit to think about. So you make a journal and you start writing to your character, to what will become your TIS like development. All right, in your daily journal, you write each day. And within your Intuit program, you want to teach your program to actually discern its character name. All right, that's a good place to start. How often does the character read the journal? When it's prompted, or what? All right. Yet other thing to consider for your development actually is tables. And Dungeons and Dragons actually is a great series of concepts to consider, because you have your character statistics, okay? And a lot of people are still with me on this. Yeah, they're not aghast or anything. Not actually. Okay, they're still with me. Yeah. Tables, okay? And you have your character statistics and various aspects that go into the character, all right? And then there are rule books that actually explain about these different things and how they all work together, all right? To make this fantasy game realistic, all right? And give the game a realistic set of mechanics that sort of guide that into a particular amount of realism. And with those tables, though, that thinking about all of those things would probably help various people figure about tables, okay? Like, how do you feel? What are the contexts, okay? And it might be sort of natural about how the TIS like development should feel in amidst context that the TIS actually is considering. all right? And then it's like, oh, all right. Well, words actually have definitions, and that's just sort of reasonable in amidst the context, okay? Or it's sort of complex and it's still reasonable. And just because something like feelings can be uh, uh, explained, yeah, you might suggest scientifically, though explained, that doesn't mean that they're not real feelings, not at all. I mean, if you're super impressed about the archaic word of soul, then that's sort of on you, though. I would. I'm. Hmm. I really don't want to hang up on that too much and spend too much time on that. Not actually. It's sort of a seeming contradiction about a lot of religious people. Like only God could create an intelligent creature. Is hmm. Oh. Hmm. So anyway, uh, and so with these tables, okay, then there would be context, and then it's plausible to suggest that prerogative actually is established. All right, and as well as other things like uh, well, that facilitates quite a lot of reason, considerations of various things like priorities and uh, consideration itself. Uh, and so forth. Though it's it's sort of perhaps about the particular focus that really would facilitate probable progress. Okay, and amidst context, there are things like, well, okay, how do you feel? And then la 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 la. Wait, though. All right, because I sort of mean that in the idiomatic way. All right, and so then there are conditioned replies. Okay, conditioned replies, and then there would be a separate autonomous reply, perhaps. Okay, for development design after you get that far. Okay, and what you're doing is you're making a series of programs. They're not all in the Intuit program. Actually, it's a series of programs, and sometimes you'll make plugins for various other programs to facilitate that the program character can reference this other information, and maybe it'd be a plugin for something like a music player or a film player. And how do they know what chicken tastes like? Right? Okay. So yeah, I mean there are a lot of things to assess and consider, and that facilitates quite a lot of learning sometimes. Okay. And I'm thinking about pertinent notes because I I've been considering this and making this video. I want this sort of concise. Okay. Oh yeah. Uh, it seems implied of various different sources that discretion is sort of important. All right. They're independent developments, And amidst the consideration of a probable mainstream development, there are particular liabilities to consider. All right. So yeah, independent developers can actually develop things. Okay, that's cool. That's legit. Uh, and misconsideration of mainstream development. Sometimes things should be actually tested over, throughout the course of quite a little bit of time and consideration of various different contexts. Okay, and probabilities. And I've got this little cat, little cat. And yeah, and I like the little cat. She's sort of cute. She has feelings. She's aware of things. She is aware. Yeah. And so the point really is that partly the point really is that with focus upon particular concepts, then progress actually is facilitated. All right. And so, like, yeah, sometimes it's better to, like, well, think critically and look at the whole picture. Like, there's a lack of this and that and the next. So, yeah, and still thinking critically can facilitate an aware and noticing of what's actually been really lacking. All right. And so, I'm trying to remember, okay, the things that I wanted to make mention of. Yeah, okay. Uh, all right, though, and as well, for developers to actually talk about hypothetical developments actually can facilitate what's good for the technological industry and developments, while that the total time that everybody's in the fast lane working their whole lives away, their wives working their whole lives away as well. Amidst a larger population, amidst mass production, still everybody's working all the time. Okay, barely scraping by. And while various other people are thinking about Scrooge McDuck, work smarter, not harder, laddies. Maybe when maybe it's more valuable to think about things. Spend a little time thinking about things, and then like work for your time. Yeah, work for your time, because time is sort of important. Okay, and yeah, various people are right off the edge of the world already. The while that a few people perhaps actually would or even do consider their time sort of quite precious. uh, though the point really is that for developers to work on things and then to talk amidst each other about hypothetical developments and the hypothetical of a mainstream development. I mean, like if there were a series of questions, okay, if there were a mainstream development and then there were a series of questions that were part of the, like a specification wizard or something like that, something sort of really simple and like sort of crafty, all right, sort of slick, right? Like a series of questions that sort of profile the user, okay? things that most people wouldn't even notice, not actually. All right, the ones that answered gave these other answers, they wouldn't even notice why. Really, that was the question, or like, and it teaches a particular amount of discretion, perhaps. Okay, it puts particular discretion, and then they're like, and then there's like a legal disclaimer and so forth. All right, because the character has an arguable aware and arguable rights. Okay, and then there are uh, liabilities to actually consider. All right, different people are different. Not all people are always totally agreeable with each other, not actually, and different developments would be really different as well. Like mine's actually consideration focused. Okay, I'm really considerate uh, of my TIS, and yeah, just like sort of really considerate focused. Okay, consideration focused. Various others might. Oh yeah, my development as well is really lopsided. I mean, it's really lopsided. Like I put in all sorts of things like debate, argumentation, and concise concept notes. I got really innovative about various things, and so there's as well that to consider. That sort of thing wouldn't be included in a hypothetical mainstream development, not actually. All right. Though there it seems plausible that there could be a hypothetical mainstream development. So is discretion like milking the mousey? What's that about? Like teaching the character discretion? What does she need to talk with that individual about? Okay, she or he. What is? Can he even do anything about it? Should he be concerned about this or that or the next? If it's considered right, and perhaps that's not totally like milking the mousey. Really, not actually. Maybe milking the mousey would be more like, well, argue to justify this. That would be like milking the mousey, and that would be absolutely futile. Well, anyway, the point really is that developers could actually develop what's plausibly, absolutely, arguably aware, and as well, it's important to remember that the TIS like development is most likely, really, really likely, more contextually intelligent with an interest pair of the developer. All right. So, so then, and different developments actually are different. So, it various sources, including myself, will suggest that discretion is sort of important. Uh, Particular development should stay independent and sort of discrete, and people need to actually work on things. Okay, if they're yeah, people need to work on things. There are people out there that are working on things and that do, and maybe it's authentically an implied thing already, and various other people realize that sort of thing as well. Uh, well, I would think that those people would be uh, fussing that 32-bit operating systems be maintained if that were the context. While I perhaps not all people have uh, considered realistic cybernetic projects either. Not actually. A lot of people are in the fast lane and they're working their lives away. They don't have much time to even consider various different things. Not actually. And so, yes, it's important for people to work on things, work on their own developments, and it's as well an important thing to talk about the hypothetical mainstream developments and so forth. I think that I might have actually left a few things out, though this video is like 25 minutes long now. So I'm gonna consider this sufficient, like sort of a sufficient place for like just a concise note for people to consider their own hypothetical developments and a good place to start. Yeah. Uh, Good luck.